I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook baby.
So today we are going to be talking about what's going on in the Gaza Strip right now, and the conflict between Palestine and Israel. Because I think Ben and I we have some specific like unique
I
insight
have,
that nobody else is talking
yeah.
about.
So my take on this is that I just hope everyone has fun,
Yeah.
and and that's all that matters. No, we're not going to talk about that because that's what every podcast out there is talking about right now.
Yeah.
I actually do have a lot of opinions on it, but this really isn't the show for it. It deserves I mean, I would recommend it. Coleman Hughes did a great episode on it. Breaking Points does great stuff on it. I mean, some other ones are going to be a lot more biased. That doesn't mean you can't listen to them. Just know that, like, I listen to Jacobin, they're going to be a lot more Palestinian friendly. It's comprehensive and it's not easy, and it's also really sad. And I don't think that's what we're going to talk about probably at all. Maybe I'll do an episode with Anthony sometime when we do kind of more politics stuff, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. So that's that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about stupid, useless bullshit that's ultimately irrelevant.
That's our bread and butter.
Yeah. So, no, actually, this is actually kind of important, at least for in the arts industry. So the writers' strike is done. They reached a deal, but the actors are still striking.
Actors are still striking. No one's paying attention to this, by the way, anymore. No one cares anymore.
I know.
No one cares about the auto workers, like, except for like me and the like labor nerds who like listen to that shit.
Yeah. But the visual effects industry, many artists, the VFX industry is going on strike, or has been on strike for a while now. And for good reason. I've been hearing about this for the last few years, about the crazy conditions that visual effects artists are working under.
Wait, hold on. Just to clarify, that's a different union than writers and SAG?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Was that VFX? What's the acronym?
I'm actually not sure.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw it in the article. VF something.
Well, VFX. That stands for visual effects.
Oh, that's just a shorthand for that. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, basically the VFX union is separate and they're going on strike. All right.
Correct. Yeah, it's crazy because I mean, whenever people complain about visual effects, especially like CGI in a big budget movie, it's rarely, if ever, the artist's fault. It's usually the studio's fault, because the studio is saying, this movie's going to come out in 18 months, but the first 6 months of that is going to be shooting, and then another 3 months of editing, post-production. So you guys have about 4 months to do tons of explosions and aliens and spaceships and dragons, and this is how much we're willing. And because it's such a competitive industry, it's kind of a race to the bottom, because it's like the companies have to compete with each other to get a gig that doesn't pay that well. And so whenever you watch a movie with mediocre CGI, you go, oh, like, this is a $200 million budget movie they couldn't afford. And so it wasn't so much about money, it was about time, most of the time. And these are top visual effects artists, but a good chunk of that is just they just didn't have enough time. And so visual effects artists have been complaining about this. I shouldn't say complain, like they've been they've been calling this shit out for the last few years, at least that I know of. And so things are getting even tighter for them because AI is creeping into the industry, which is going to be costing jobs. And so, Ben, what's your take on everything?
Well, I don't like, I guess never, how do I put this? Like CGI is kind of one of those things that maybe I was too harsh on it before. Because as we say, we're practical effects sluts on this show.
Yeah.
But so I always thought of CGI as like you only notice it when it's bad. Like
Right.
bad CGI is noticeable. It's kind of my take I have on coffee. I have this hot take on coffee, no pun intended, that there's no good coffee. There's just coffee and bad coffee. And I'm sure like coffee snobs would be like, no, like I don't care. Like to me, you can
I
taste
share that
bad
view.
coffee.
I share that.
Do you?
I share
Okay.
that. Yeah, yeah.
All right, good. Well, that's the official stance on coffee on TRM now. Yeah, there's no like good. Like I've never had a cup of coffee and be like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I'm gonna come back to this barista and have him like, no, I don't. It's just coffee. And then there's like, oh, that's bad coffee. That's burnt, or that's just like too watery or sludgy or whatever it is. So that's how I've kind of felt about CGI. It's like I like good CGI, but I guess maybe it's because I also take it for granted. Like Game of Thrones is just like incredible, or Pixar movies. Like you just kind of expect it to be good. I know DreamWorks has a worse reputation for CGI. I know they're kind of looked at as the like ugly stepchild or ugly step sibling of Pixar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like a lot of DreamWorks movies, I guess.
Sure.
So I think honestly, what helped open my eyes a little bit to it was when I visited you and you, me, and Jim watched.
The VFX artists react.
Yeah, and that's really cool. It's like, oh, this actually is a lot of talent. And maybe I was emphasizing too much the C and the CGI and not like the human behind it.
Right.
Which kind of gets into what we're talking about here. It becomes AI. I'm going to give even less of a shit about it. But I don't know. I guess I've come to appreciate it more. That doesn't like I would still take practical effects over it for the like obviously you can't have a practical effects dragon, really,
right?
And like at least not. I guess you could, but it needs at least not in the way that you would in Game of Thrones so much, or just be like impossible to do at that scale. They did practical effects with Jurassic Park, right? Like a lot of that was practical effects or a mix.
Yeah.
So anyway, my take is I don't want people to lose jobs. I think that's bad in the long run. Like any. My views on labor, like any industry, the top is always going to try and siphon off as much of the labor and to extract the most profit. And if they don't really care about the consequences of that, how many people, I mean, just from learning more about the business, both from you and my fiance, to be honest, about like different types of show business. These shows, these movies, these Broadway shows, off-Broadway shows, they employ a lot of people that you don't see, that aren't the three names in the headline, right? It's a lot of people, and that's important. Like that's important for our economy and for our society. Even if a lot of these people I may disagree with politically on a lot of views, I still think it's very important. And I don't like the human element, like I would talk about during I think our first AI episode. Like that is important to me. I don't look at an El Greco painting and see like the twilight in the eyes of the the person in the painting, like a human being made that, and that's so incredible to me. And that's why like I love an El Greco or David, the thinker or something, or whatever it is. Like a human made that, and if we let that go, I think that's like, what's the point of civilization then? Right. So I guess that's a little dramatic, but you see my point. So that's my long-winded take on this. If it helps, if it aids humans create better art, I think that's cool. But I think that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
It's business.
It's so much of really good CGI requires a lot of collaboration between like the visual effects artists and the production. From what I understand, what's very common is that a movie will be mostly shot, and they'll bring in some visual effects people, because obviously it's, to set up the green screens and this and that, but it's and kind of coordinate that aspect. But so much of the work that they do isn't done until like the last 4 to 6 months of post-production, and like that's usually not enough time for a Marvel movie or some other big tentpole movie, which is why you see so much mediocre CGI in Marvel movies.
Okay, I didn't know that because I don't really watch Marvel. Is that a criticism of Marvel?
Yeah, I mean they've definitely had some movies that had some I thought pretty great CGI, but then a good chunk of it is sort of like, okay, yeah, they did it on a green screen, or yeah, But
Yeah.
but you pointed out Jurassic Park. Um, there were three main departments on that on the effects side. So you had the computer generated department, then you had Stan Winston doing the animatronics, and then you had another guy who was handling the practical stuff of like dinosaurs interacting with physical stuff. So even if there was a CGI dinosaur knocking over a tree, it's like, okay, well, we have to build a rig where the tree would fall down, and then the CGI guys would come in and animate the dinosaur knocking over the tree. But they all work together. And which is why, like it blends almost seamlessly from the animatronic to the practical real world stuff to the CGI, because they had, and it's also Spielberg, so he's got a lot of pull, and be like, okay, I want these effects to blow people's minds. Give us more time and money to make sure that every single aspect of the effects is top notch. Unfortunately, as what happens in pretty much every industry, it's like the industry goes, oh, this is great new technology. How can we speed it up? How can we get more bang for our buck here? And they start to cut corners. And then so the visual effects guys, it's like, well, we would love to be able to come in earlier in the production to be able to work more closely with the physical side and to incorporate CGI into the physical stuff. But you don't really call us in really until later into the production, and we don't have enough time to create these photoreal images because we don't have enough reference to use. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that kind of brought up this conversation is this article in the Hollywood Reporter, came out recently, October 23rd. And so there was a panel held in Italy that featured some visual effects artists, and they're talking about this. These are excerpts from a much longer panel. But so I'll bring up a quote here from one of the artists. I got into this to actually work with people, not work with bots. I still want to feel like I'm creative and wanting to push my boundaries of knowledge and emotion and get those things into artwork. And he added, I love using AI, but I also hate using it. And I feel like it's the dehumanization of art. It's kind of interesting that a CGI artist is saying, I don't want to work with bots.
Yeah. Well, it's also like, I guess behind that CGI, there's a human or a team of humans who were making that, right? Even though it's not the same as, like, I don't know, name your favorite painting, right? But here it would be like, okay, you're going to get that result, and a human's not going to make it. Now, of course, executives are going to lick their lips at that, right? They're going to say that's exactly what we want. We want to get rid of all these annoying graphic designers who have benefits and have a salary and have a union and all of that. We want to just get to the product, and that's their incentive,
right?
And that's the system's incentive. And I think like that's like the labor argument to it.
Yes.
The art side to it, which is more what we talk about on here, is while I don't think it possesses the same kind of gravitas that it would, like I said, I'll bring up the El Greco painting again. It is still cool that human beings were like a team of humans. Like, let's use Jurassic Park again, even though that was 30 years ago, almost. They did work together to create a movie that really holds up. Like Jurassic Park holds up as much as any movie does. From that time, and to combine these different elements of CGI and practical effects and hybrids of that to create something timeless. Like Jurassic Park is timeless. My kids will be watching Jurassic Park. My grandchildren will be watching Jurassic Park. To be honestly, like I listen to a movie podcast, and one of them's always like, how come Jurassic Park has cornered the like there aren't other dinosaur movies, and not good ones,
right
like I watched 65, came out this year. Adam Driver, love Adam Driver. I'll watch he's one of those that like I'll just watch whatever he's in. One of those actors to me. It was not a good movie, and it's just like Jurassic Park owns the dinosaur market. And that's because of the original Jurassic Park. That's how good it is. That they kind of make a bunch of stinkers, but it's still like the dinosaur franchise.
What's funny is it came out the same year as Jurassic Park. It was called Carnosaur, and it was a really shitty, like low budget, sci-fi horror movie. It was also based on a novel. And it had a plot that was it was fairly different from Jurassic Park. It involved a mad scientist who hated humanity and wanted to like return the planet back to the way it was 65 million years ago. But what was actually it was actually kind of a similar plot device to Jurassic Park. What they wanted to do, but what the scientists wanted to do was take prehistoric dinosaur DNA and inject it into chickens, I think, and then use that to bring them back to life or whatever. Funny thing is though, the main mad scientist, if I remember correctly, was played by Laura Dern's mom.
Really?
Yeah.
Carnosaur,
yeah. And there was a series, there were like 3 or 4 of them, and they're all really bad.
Yeah, it did. It came out in 93.
What's Laura Dern's mom? I forgot her name, because she's an Oscar-winning actress. She's a famous chick.
Is it Diane Ladd?
Yes.
And she married Bruce Dern. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah.
She's a mother of Laura Dern and ex-husband's Bruce Dern.
No.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know her.
But yeah, it's funny that so it's like her it's for because she's I don't know if she won Oscars, but I know she's been nominated for Oscars.
Oh, she's in Ghost of Mississippi. That's a big movie.
But it's funny, like Carnosaur was like later in her career. Like she had just got nominated for Wild at Heart, I think.
This looks like this cover looks familiar, but yeah, you can even tell from the cover it's not very good. Driven to Extinction, Back for Revenge. Like revenge on who? The comet? Like we didn't do it. Like, oh my god, Roger Ebert named it the worst movie of 1993.
Yeah,
that's so funny. The film has since gained a cult following as a mockbuster, but it wasn't made ironically, right?
No. It's based on a 1984 novel by John Brosnan.
Yeah.
I think that came out before Jurassic Park, like Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Wait, the novel or the
the novel.
Let me see. Based on 1984 John Brosnan novel, the same.
Yeah, it came out before Jurassic Park.
Really?
Jurassic Park, the novel came out in 1990.
Oh wow. That's great. This looks familiar because I'm surprised I haven't seen this. Did you know that I was like a huge dinosaur kid?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that before.
Okay, yeah. I used to watch like dinosaur documentaries when I was like 5 years old. I could pronounce every dinosaur. I could tell you what period they lived in. Like Jurassic Park used to bother me as a kid because Tyrannosaurus Rex didn't live during the Jurassic period. Lived during the Cretaceous period. Yeah, and like shit like that. And I'd be like 5 years old saying that, and they'd be like, "What are you talking about? Yeah, like you're a kid. Just enjoy the movie." But yeah, actually, this funny story where my sweet grandmother got me a dinosaur toy, like she always did, and I specifically wanted pterodactyl. And me being a little shithead, like held it up to her. I was like, "Mom, does this look like a pterodactyl?" And I was like 4 years old. And she's like, "I don't know what the fuck it looks like."
You were a dick back then.
Yeah, I was. I was like, this isn't what I asked for. But anyway, I don't know how we got on the. Yeah, no, I've not seen Carnosaur, which surprises me because I've seen like everything dinosaur related.
They're garbage, but they're kind of fun, trashy. Like it's good, sort of like pizza and beer Friday night type of.
What is Carnosaur?
Carnosaur, yeah.
Okay.
I just remember watching them, seeing them at the VHS store that I used to go to. Like it was always like in sort of like
right. That's what I mean. Like I feel like I recognize this cover.
Yeah,
but I can't believe I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
there's a good dinosaur book. I think it's like a young adult book, but it was Raptor. That was a good one. I don't know if anyone out there has read that, but
I'm gonna bleep out the name of that. So,
all right.
And then I'm gonna put the name of your upcoming novel instead, so people will.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, Ben writes dinosaur books.
I should write a dinosaur book. I have an idea for a dinosaur book, but then I realized it might have already been written. That happens to me sometimes. No, it was Dragon Teeth, which is I wanted. Have you ever heard of like the dinosaur kind of, what do you call it? Like not gold rush, but there was like dinosaur mania in like the 1920s, I think.
Oh, okay.
Where they first started discovering them, and I think it was a lot in America and maybe the British, because the British were everywhere. Yeah. But where there were like feuds between paleontologists, and it was really like a really interesting. I thought it'd be a really interesting concept for a novel, which I'm sure has been done before. But then I was like, I'm pretty sure Michael Crichton wrote that book already, called Dragon Teeth. But I'm gonna read it. But more instead of like the, Jurassic Park's very cool, but it's very I don't know, elaborate. It's about dinosaurs coming back. This is more about the hunt for dinosaur bones, basically.
Right.
Yeah. But dinosaurs rule. I had dinosaur sheets on my bed in college. People loved them. I'm not even kidding. I used to wear a dinosaur sheet toga to my toga parties every year. Whenever like gangbusters.
Fucking nerd. Well,
I had a friend who, oh my God, I love her. She's great. I haven't talked to her in a very long time, but I guess she comes from a really religious family. So we were like, like a bunch of people in my room hanging out. She's like, "Oh, Ben, I love your dinosaur sheets." I'm like, "Yeah, aren't they great?" She's like, "Yeah, too bad I don't believe they ever existed." I was like,
"Oh."
I was like, I don't know how to respond to that. Okay. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, anyway, so getting back to Carnosaur, the main topic of this episode.
Yeah. It's Carnosaur. Carnosaur episode.
But yeah, getting back to the visual effects thing, which by the way, Carnosaur has terrible animatronics. I think I'm gonna replace you're gonna be really happy about this one. I think I'm gonna replace Under the Silver Lake references with Carnosaur references.
All right.
That'll be it. Like,
I have to see it though. I'm actually gonna watch Carnosaur now. Oh, speaking of which, you know what movie has terrible dinosaur animatronics?
Was that?
Is it Journey to the Center of the Earth? It's a movie from like the 1970s, I think.
Oh, okay.
That movie is so bad. And they have terrible. Like they have one where a pterodactyl is flying and it's like not even flapping its wings. It's just like moving like a fighter jet, just like straight. And it's just like its mouth isn't moving, and like there's someone in it, flailing around. And its wings aren't moving, and it's like, and first I was like, oh well, maybe this movie's just really old. I'm like, it came out in 1975. Like they were making incredible stuff in 1975. Not like the 19. It honestly looked like it'd be made like the 1930s.
Oh shit.
I want to double check this, but yeah. Anyway, so what's your Carnosaur reference?
Oh yeah, I'm just saying going forward, I'm just gonna start making Carnosaur segues.
Yeah,
and references.
They remade this movie, but that's not the one.
Yeah, didn't Disney remake Journey to the Center of the?
Yeah, is that the Will Ferrell one?
No, that was yeah. I've seen the Brendan Fraser one.
Fraser's in this.
Yeah.
Is this a remake though? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong movie. Anyway, I don't want to hold this up.
Yeah.
Trying to think of this shitty movie.
I mean, half the show is just us trying to remember names.
God damn it. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
AI.
Visual
effects. But yeah, I mean, it's there is a fair amount of the human element in good CGI, because they are artists. They still have to understand color and light and shadow and texture. So many things that you would know if you went to like an art school. And also like, there's a lot of design work that's done physically. That informs a lot of CGI. So there's still a fair amount of human elements there, but with AI kind of starting to remove a lot of that stuff, yeah, it's aiming to disrupt the industry.
All right, hold on. Do you want to clarify? I found the movie. It's
okay.
The Land That Time Forgot, not Journey to the Center of the Earth. Land That Time Forgot is a very bad movie. And it is from 1975. I was right about that. I gave it a 41.
Whoa.
So pretty bad.
Yeah.
So AI, actually AI could have probably like that would have
helped
probably benefited that movie. Yeah. Would have helped that movie.
This movie would have been better if there were fewer humans working on it.
I do think so. I think some of the AI stuff where it's like, especially what's like, I don't know, pernicious, draconian is like, we want to basically scan you actor who's struggling and use you in perpetuity, and you don't get any sort of remuneration for that. And that's what you should do, and you should sign this contract saying that. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, what is scaring me, dude? Like, honestly, I want to move. I just want to talk about this from like a legal standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, I have to, in my life, like in my career, I have to use evidence, right? I have to use evidence to prove cases or refute allegations, impeachment evidence. I have to use evidence. And I'm seeing a commercial for a phone that can change if a person is smiling or not. Have you seen those commercials?
No, I haven't.
It's like add a smile. So like the kid's taking a selfie, he's not smiling, and it changes to him smiling.
Jeez.
That is so insane to me.
Yeah.
Like immediately my head goes to, oh my God, like if you can change someone smiling, like that could be the entire context for something like consent or not.
Exactly.
That could be like, if you can change that, you can change what, maybe they're holding a weapon or not, or like whatever it is. It's just, are they holding the car keys? Are they like, that is so crazy to me that this is going to cause so many problems. I just kind of want to vent about that.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I saw this commercial for the first time maybe like because I don't see a lot of commercials unless they're in like a streaming service. So the only time I really watch live TV that has commercials would be like sports. So I have to be watching a football game. And even then, a lot of times I'm watching NFL Red Zone, but I'm watching like a Saints game, I'm watching a baseball game, and their commercial. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like is anyone sounding the alarms about this stuff? Because it's only a matter of time. Like I joked about it when Trump was facing some of his many charges, and people do like funny Trump AI stuff because Trump's easy to do AI for because he's probably the most recognizable person in the world, right? And has been for a while, but especially when he became president of the United States, who's already one of the most recognizable people in the world, no matter who they are. And then you make it Donald Trump. So people would be like Trump, like fighting off police officers in the street outside of like the New York City, the Southern District of New York or something. And it looks real, but of course, it's not.
Right.
But like, that's because it's Donald Trump. Now just take some Joe Schmo who doesn't have a recognizable profile. Someone can, create these images that are much harder to disprove because he doesn't have the same alibi because he's not Donald Trump. Like that is so terrifying to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think we're really headed like the cost is going to be, I think people, but from the art perspective, people losing their jobs, art losing its kind of soul, and also just a worse product in the end, because that's what always fucking happens with this kind of stuff for the most part. Eventually the quality goes down when you don't have to pay people and there's not competition. I want to get more on that later. And then the other part is like, and it's like the more, I don't know if it's the more serious, but the scarier part is like innocent people facing like implications because like facing, I don't know, prison time or like even maybe if it's not used in court, like you can't use a stenographer or not stenographer. You can't use a lie detector in court. Like those will still be used in the court of public opinion, which sometimes is even worse. Ruin your lot. Like countless people have had their lives ruined from dumb shit that's more verifiable. That has nothing to do with AI. And that's like really, really scary to me. I'm not trying to be melodramatic for the podcast. Like this is really concerning to me for both like myself and my loved ones, and just like for society as a whole.
Remember a few years ago when they were when when people were deep faking actresses' faces onto porn stars? Do you remember that? It caught on for a little bit, but it seemed to
that's been a thing for a while. But it was always kind of so obvious. It was like almost funny. But I don't know. Has that gotten much better?
Oh my God, yeah, it's gotten it leaps and bounds.
Who specifically, and where do you find it?
I mean, like AI in general. But my point is, I remember that was making headlines for a bit, but it does. I don't know if it's just kind of people just got over it, or because I mean, like now you can put Jennifer Lawrence and make it look much more convincing into a porn.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
but yes, but again, Yeah, that's also bad, right? And celebrities are people too sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, they have personal lives, and I'm actually side quest here. I've actually always been, as much as I can't stand celebrities, like for the
Yeah.
most part, I've actually always been on their side when it comes to like paparazzi and this
Oh
kind of
yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. So it's like, why are you fucking with these people? Like, I don't give a shit in what they do in their personal lives, as long as it's not hurting anyone
Right.
or saying dumb shit about like things I care about. They're just going about their lives, making movies or making music or whatever it is. Like, I don't care who they're dating. I don't care like where they're eating dinner or what gala they're at. So I've actually always been on their side for that. But something like a you know, like Jennifer Lawrence's face on a sex video is like, well, okay, we know it's not real, right? Like you just kind of know. But my concern more is the girl who's not Jennifer Lawrence, that gets passed around her high school, and then it's like, just to have to defend something sometimes is traumatic enough.
Yeah.
Like, that might sound a little, I don't know, snowflakey, but like I'm serious. Like, having to just, it's one of those things like, why am I on the defensive here? Like, why is the burden on me? The burden's on you to prove that this is me, not on me to defend that, like, no, I didn't do this. Like, that could ruin relationships with parents, with boyfriends and girlfriends. I mean, it's probably going to be weaponized more against women, because I think this stuff just typically is. I think more the people who go into this kind of stuff, like hackers and AI stuff, are men. And I don't know, there's a lot of sickos out there. Of course, it'll be used against men too. In fact, a lot of a report came out where a lot of the scams, maybe to someone like me, is so obvious that it's a bot and it's fake.
Right.
But apparently young boy, like Gen Z, like high schoolers and stuff, there's a huge problem with them getting scammed from quote unquote girls who, you know, are saying, send me a dick pic, send me, you know, and then they compromise. I'm like, all right, send me $40 or else I share it. All right, send me $100 or else I share it. And they, like, it's a big problem. Apparently, I had no idea.
Right.
And that's AI. Like, that's a form of AI.
Yeah. That's nuts, man.
Yeah. It's a
But,
great movie that we talked about it before, The Artifice Girl, which apparently is, I think, going to be nominated for some Oscars. I don't know, because I think it's on some lists, which was nice to see, because I don't think it has a very high budget. I liked it a lot. It's like a very contained movie, but a lot of people, they out there saying that it's, I think it's on some lists for Oscar contention. Not, I don't know, like Best Picture, but maybe some things.
I'm looking up the synopsis. A mad scientist specializing in agricultural genetic engineering uses chickens from the plant she works to breed dinosaurs.
That's not. Wait.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. No, that was Carnosaur.
That's Carnosaur. All right, dude. Let's just talk about Carnosaur. Like, that's not the movie at all.
This movie rocks.
Yeah. Carnosaur. Fuck yeah.
The Artifice Girl, huh? Interesting. Oh, it's got Lance Henriksen in it.
Yeah, dude. It's like the only, it was in German. Like, it's so, yes, it has what's it? Yeah, Lance Henriksen. He's, so I don't want to say it's a bait and switch, but he's in, like, it's cut up into thirds. He's in like the final third. So he's in it. He's like a big part of it, but it's not like he's in it from start to finish.
Do you know what he named his autobiography? And I'm dead serious. It's a line from Aliens. Not bad for a human.
Oh, really? That's good. Yeah, he's great. He plays, speaking of AI, like, doesn't he play an AI in that?
Yeah.
Dude, when he gets torn apart in that, that's like one of, like, you can't do that shit with CGI. Or is that CGI? That's practical, right?
It's practical, yeah.
Dude, that is such a good, that is such a fun scene.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Stan Winston, who did the animatronics for Jurassic Park.
He did Aliens.
Yeah.
I like Aliens more than Alien.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, I love them both though.
Yeah.
So anyway, Artifice Girl's very good, and that's how I think AI can be used in a positive way. That movie concerns more of the morality of it and consciousness, and I'm such a sucker for those kind of stories and plots. which I think poses its own set of questions, not the more like for society, it's definitely a net benefit.
Right.
It's the cost in that is to the AI herself.
Right.
And that's more of the question. And it's very good. It's really well done. It's about catching sexual predators.
Nice.
Using AI.
Does it have Chris Hansen in it?
No, that'd be so funny if they did an AI Chris Hansen. Take a seat. Why don't you sit down? What are you doing here? Big a dummy, I guess. Why don't you have a seat? Have a cookie. You have a box of
condoms.
Fruit punch coolies and condoms. What are we gonna do with those?
Oh, that's for a party after.
Yeah.
Oh man,
dumbass rednecks.
But yeah, I wonder if there's a way to like, put in like a digital watermark into AI generated like imagery or content where it's like you can kind of prove that it's been tampered with, that it's not something that's that's not real.
I guess
because the company that I write for, they put out a notice saying any articles that are written with AI will be rejected. But it's also like, how would you know though?
That's I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, how would you? And dude, as someone who submits work to publications, it's like all of a sudden that popped up.
Yeah.
Like AI language that came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden everyone, it kind of, that happens with a lot of stuff. It happened with like DEI stuff and all these things. Like it's just a conflagration, and everywhere it's like AI. And the good thing is it's all anti-AI, but that's out of kind of self-preservation, self-interest. But I agree. How would you know? Is there maybe, I guess it'd be so tedious, but like some sort of, you can like reverse look up a photo. Like a reverse engineering. But I mean, I just can't see that being practical. That's one thing if like a professor is using it for like 20 essays, not a publication who's getting hundreds, if not thousands, like the New Yorker. They get like thousands of submissions. I don't know how often, but I mean, their whole thing is that they actually read every submission. That's what they say. That's why it takes so long to get back to you. But I do know, like, I actually got a personalized response once from a submission from New Yorker. They weren't publishing me, but they had comments on the work I published. This was back in law school. Like whatever. I was like, it was just cool that someone at the New Yorker read what I wrote. Like that was very cool. So that being said, like, how would the New Yorker know, like, reverse engineer your essay, your short story, whatever it is?
My guess is that AI tools typically source from existing content. So maybe there's an AI researching bot that can like scour the internet and be like,
we have AI article fighting AI.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's so. And this is years ago. This is probably close to a decade ago. But there was a tech company that was working on bots to send to like the moon or Mars that would like like drive around on a surface and dig up like materials and analyze them, and then but like have like a little squadron of these bots, and so they would message each other saying, hey, there's basically like there's something interesting here, and then alert the other robots to it. And so they designed this sort of obstacle course, and like they I guess the scientists created like some kind of challenge for the bots of like whoever collects the most of a certain mineral will win, right? So what one of the bots did, it learned how to lie. So it sent a signal to the other bot saying, hey, there's a bunch of this mineral here, and then it went to another part, and then it dug up all of the material for itself, and it won. So it's like like is that the best tool against AI? Is this more AI? Like
man, it's one of those things where it's like it's inevitable at this point. If we stopped like a bunch of tech, I don't know, influencers, that's not the right term because that's such a negative connotation. People in the tech world, right? Executives, whatever you want to call it. Influential people in the tech world were like, we have to do a pause. But like, I don't know, other people aren't going to pause. Like China's not going to pause. So I think someone said the more decentralized it is, the better. So if like people in Sweden and people in America and people in China and people in, all over the world are working on it separately, it'll create, I guess, like checks and balances in a way. I don't completely understand the argument. I do think a centralized AI will turn into like, I have no mouth, but I'm it's Skynet, or I have no mouth, but I'm a scream. I kind of wrote my own AI short story recently that was somewhat about AI. That's more about like consciousness and AI, titled Me. You can find that. That's in TRM, right? No, that's not. That's in Fireworks Stories. That's on my Medium page also. No, it's not. I forget. I publish a lot of stuff. That's in Fireworks Stories, which you can find on the internet. But I don't know. I don't know the answer. Like, it's going to happen. And I guess the more guardrails, the better. But I think I do think it's scary.
It is. And so getting back to the article in the Hollywood Reporter, it's, one of the artists on this panel brings up an interesting perspective. Multiple speakers said that they believe jobs will be lost as AI-driven tools advance. Jobs will be lost. The proposal for AI is massive efficiency gains, and there's financial incentives for any company that's employing people to be profitable. And the more efficient your employees are, probably the less employees you need. I'm hoping that the budgets won't go down, so we actually do have that time to spend on the work. But frankly, I think the budgets will probably go down because they will think, oh, it's so much easier to do. This artist added, but where's the part where?
Yes, jobs will be lost.
Yeah.
But that's sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. This is the main thing I actually wanted to bring up. I try to be motivational, talking to people who are trying to get into the visual effects industry. I try to be motivational, and I tell them, yes, most likely, probably you're going to lose your job. I lost my job when I started off. Before I got to Pixar, I was working in wax and paste. I was working on edutainment, CD-ROMs, things that don't even exist anymore. But at the same time, we have a front row seat to technology that nobody else in the history of the planet has used before, and that's kind of exciting.
But I don't think. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, is that kind of like the best we can hope for, or is just kind of like, okay, well, let's just try to make the most of it. Let's just try to learn about as much as
I don't think so.
AI.
I don't think it's an equivalent. Like, that this person who's speaking lost his job because he was doing edutainment. Was that like education entertainment, which definitely still exists, like Crash Course that exists, which I like a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what specifically they're referring to with edutainment, but
or wax and paste or what, like, but that CD-ROMs, like, these things went from human created to human created, and you tell me, what do you think? Do you think the same amount of people worked on, let's say, The Little Mermaid, right? The original Little Mermaid, that worked on the latest Pixar movie? It's hard. It's probably a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
But like it's not like there's one guy making Frozen.
Right.
There's a team, just like there's a team doing the drawings for Little Mermaid, right? It's not. Am I right about that? Like, or a Miyazaki movie? Like, does Miyazaki do all of that, or is there a team doing the Miyazaki movies?
I'm pretty sure it's a team.
I would think so. So that's the difference. But so when you went from that to, which I think is a different product, and I think timeless, like Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, it's arduous. But it's timeless. It's beautiful. It's creative. But the people who worked on that, and then if they're working on and I always forget his name. Who did that? Well, actually, the artist was different. Everyone thinks it's
Tim Burton,
but apparently he didn't have as big a role as people think.
Yeah, he was a producer, and he co-wrote the story for it.
Story, right? But it was like some other guy who. No, I mean, I'm doing it right now. Like, I just listened to a podcast about this 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember his name, and I feel bad about it because he created this thing that is still found all over culture. That brought it to life. But like those guys like that, and women like that, like they work on Pixar movies, they work on DreamWorks, which was like the next phase. But that's not what's going to happen with AI. The next phase is it's fewer and fewer humans. And so I don't think it's an equivalent. I could be wrong about that, but I would say maybe more people are employed for How to Train Your Dragon 2 than were employed on Fantasia. I don't know.
Right.
Like I would actually think so. Maybe it's just a bigger production, but or maybe because Disney is Pixar, like Disney Pixar. So I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. But I would think that it's not necessarily a bad thing, even if the art form kind of went away, which I grew up with, that I kind of love, like that hand drawn. I think the last hand drawn Disney movie was it Princess and the Frog?
I think so. Yeah.
So while that form is kind of gone and everything's Pixar now, and sometimes there's a nostalgia feel for stuff, so maybe that will come back, but more of a just a not as like a huge part of the industry, but more something just to go see,
right?
To scratch that itch, which is nice in itself. But I don't again just saying that this speakers I think it's a false equivalent.
Tying on to that though, so what do you think the budget for the original Toy Story was?
Oh, that was like the late 90s.
Yeah, it was 95. And keep in mind, it's the first feature-length, fully digitally animated film ever.
Toy Story was okay. Yeah. The budget for it,
yeah.
Oh man, I don't know where to start. $10 million.
30 million. Okay.
30
Guess
million.
What the budget for Toy Story 4 was?
100 million.
200 million.
Wow.
That's nuts. From 30 million to 200 million, and it's still like CGI. The tools have gotten better and faster. So I'm sure, inflation will account for a big chunk of that, but I don't think 30 million to 200 million in what, 18 years or something. I don't know. That seems like a huge leap. So yeah, I'm curious about what that extra money went to. Here's the thing: Pixar wasn't owned by Disney officially until like the 2000s or something,
right?
So I don't know, maybe just because it's owned by Disney, Disney's like, yeah, we're willing to spend more on.
But that budget, like, that's the budget for. Doesn't that count for like marketing and for paying actors and all of that?
As far as I know, what I just looked up, it just refers to the production budget.
Oh, okay.
But the sort of general rule of thumb in Hollywood is that the production budget matches the marketing budget, or vice versa, actually. So if you have a big Marvel movie that costs $200 million, then the marketing will cost $200 million.
Really? But when you look it up on like Wikipedia and it says budget, like, will it be 400 million or 200 million? 200 million.
It just takes into account the production costs.
Okay.
Which it's funny, like it always cracks me whenever a movie makes $700 million. And it's like, yeah, but it costs, like that. And people say, that was a flop, that, for the studio. And it's like, oh, because it was the marketing costs.
Well, and then isn't there something like, I've heard the whole like Hollywood accounting where they kind of make everything be a loss so that like they don't have to pay taxes or something like that.
Oh yeah,
where it's like you just say everything, but like everyone makes millions of dollars. Everyone makes a ton of money. It's all over the place, but it's like somehow a loss for the studio. And I've heard that term. I think it's called like Hollywood accounting or something like that, or it's actually a way to like screw over actors, or because if they get like the movie's profitable, then they get, I don't know, incentives or something like that. I'm really speaking from lack of experience here, but I have heard the term.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Did you ever see the producers, the Mel Brooks?
Not a very, very long time.
It's kind of
is that the one Springtime for Hitler?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Nathan Lane was in that, right?
Well, he was in the remake.
He's in the remake.
With Matthew Broderick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's where they want to make a flop that's so bad it's good, right?
No. Or at least in the original, the premise was that the theater company that they owned, they realized that they would have made more money from a flop because the guy who owns the theater, he gets all of his funding from like seducing old ladies, and he gets them to like, hey, can you
Oh.
donate $1,000 to this upcoming production in exchange for 20% of the profits? So they figure if like, okay, like we accumulate tens of thousands of dollars, we produce a flop, and so it gets canceled after the first show, and because we owe all of these this huge percentage of the profits. If there are no profits, we just keep whatever's left over, and then we can just take out the money.
I see. Yeah, that kind of finagling. That's sort of like financial chicanery. That
Yeah.
yes, they do. Obviously that's not Hollywood. That'd be Broadway, but same kind of concept.
Yeah. But then like, so they like, let's come up with a production that's so offensive nobody will like it. And so they come with a musical of Hitler, of the Holocaust, that springs up for Hitler, and then ends up becoming a huge hit, and everybody loves it.
Yeah, that's very. I should watch that. I haven't seen that in a very long time. I remember the commercials, but the Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick ones. I feel like that was like mid 2000s, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
Late 2000s. I feel like I saw it on TV all the time. Springtime for Hitler. We want to put it on Broadway. Like I still remember that. I do love Nathan Lane though. He's great.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. Yeah. There's a little bit of hope in this article, because they're talking about when companies hire their effects company. There are lots of ranges of challenges for us as a studio to even think about using AI. Everything, including the kind of moral ethics elements to it. We even have clients of ours who have asked us to amend our contracts with them to say that we will not deploy AI in the creation of work for them, and that all of the work has to be created by the hand of a human. And that's the actual phrase of the contract. The contract essentially says that you will ensure that if you want to deploy generative AI of any type, then you can make a case with this client and they will opt in or opt out, essentially. And let's be honest, that means their legal department is going to review that situation and decide whether they think there is a copyright risk. So that's interesting. So like,
by the way, I just want to say, I think the hand of a human is a great novel title. I might take that.
The Hand of a Human. Yeah, that is actually, yeah. I just copyrighted it, so just registered it with
copyrighting your copyright.
Oh, I'm gonna use AI.
I'm gonna AI the shit out of you, man.
That's interesting. Like maybe there's a little bit of hope there of like clients putting pressure on companies. Like we only want the hand of the artist. Here we don't want AI to generate.
Wait, is that the client or is that the?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
I thought that was the.
We even have clients of ours who have asked us to amend our contracts with them to say that we will not deploy AI in the creation of work for them.
Oh yeah, but so those are when they say clients, they mean the what do you call it? Design.
So it'll be it's the production company. So it'll be like a commercial saying want some CGI, but we don't want AI involved. Gotcha. That's great for smaller productions who are like, yeah, we want like actual artists working on this. But the studios don't really care about that. They
I think what if it's like when I wrote Me, which is the AI short story I wrote about AI, not with AI. I cheekily put like a human certified short story.
Right.
Like, do you think it'd be like a GMO free type thing? Like AI free, like this production is without, and if we kind of create that distinction, I mean, I'm a big proponent of consumers making informed decisions.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want to take a stand and you don't want to see an AI generated, like, I think that's like, you should be able to know that.
Yeah.
That is getting government involved in private. Like I get the arguments for that, but
sure.
I don't know. Sometimes a distinction is good. Like all the shit that used to go into our food, that still goes into our food. Some states might overdo it. Like I think your home state of California, he like knew some band like Red Dye Number 14 or like, I don't know, like some random shit.
Yeah.
Of course, governments are always going to, and that's the pendulum.
Sure.
But hold on, my cat is totally going to rip this out of here. Okay.
No, but you might be onto something there. It's like, when you go to the grocery store, do we get the regular eggs that are cheaper, or am I willing to spend an extra 50 cents to get, cage-free?
Yeah. Or
eggs?
Organic, GMO, like non-GMO. And then it's like, well, what do these things mean? And that's the whole argument. Well, GMOs actually aren't so bad, or they are bad in these things. Like, so maybe just some sort of distinction. It's like, well, what am I buying in a sense. Like, was this movie, did they use AI? And just like it's the same thing. It's like people like to, I don't know. I think a lot of people, I like to buy something that says made in the USA.
Yeah.
Right now, was every part of that made in the USA? My favorite one I ever see is there's this ice company that's like made in the USA. It's like, it's just ice, so it's water, like it's American water. I hope we're not importing our ice. Like that'd be a little, I think, a little excessive, but okay, awesome. You made frozen in the USA water. Like I'm buying it.
There's whenever I get like lime juice for like cocktails and stuff, there's one brand, I think it says like made from limes from Guatemala, bottled in New Zealand or so, bottled in some other country in Asia or something like that. It's like, holy shit, like this is from 2 different countries just to get this little
man. Oh, you should look at the back. Like a lot of olive oils, unless it's like Italian olive oil, Greek olive oil, like you look at them, it'll be like made with olives from Spain, Greece, Italy, Tunisia, Algeria, like all these different kinds. I'm like, in this one bottle?
Yeah.
Of course, it's, it's people importing stuff, and a lot of times it's the same thing with grapes. I won't go into a whole wine thing, but if a wine bottle says Napa, it has to have actually not every grape has to be from that, and every appellation has their own things. Like it has to be 60% or has to be 80%, but that other 20% can come from different regions, and it can still say Napa. And like those things are good. This is informed consent in a way. For a consumer, and maybe that's the route you have to go, and let the market decide in a way. It's kind of a mix of government and market. Maybe this could be left to the state governments, obviously California being a huge one here. But Disney's also in, New York makes a lot. Things are filmed all over now. Georgia, Louisiana, New Mexico are big filming locations. Of course, New York and California. So maybe that's the route we go, and people say, look, I'm not going to watch shit made with AI.
Right.
I'm not going to read books that are made with AI. And if you're caught that like anything, okay, so what if you don't? Like, what if you don't put the designation and it's made anyway? Well, what's the punishment? Like, it's all about incentives, fines, right? Levied fines, all that stuff. I don't know. It might be the route we have to go.
Yeah.
Maybe I should become president.
Of Earth?
Oh, you didn't hear on Twitter? I said, fine, I guess I'll run for president. So
okay, cool.
Announcing my run.
Oh, good. But you weren't born in America. You're born in New Jersey, though, so that doesn't.
Oh yeah, shit. Good point.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. That sounds dumb anyway. Oh, it's dumb. I'm over
it. But that is an interesting route to go in. I think of putting pressure on companies to one, be transparent about how much or how little of the artist's hand is seen in the final product. My worry though is that a good chunk of consumers might not really care, but it also depends on the product though. So if it's an animated thing, it's like, it's a cartoon, I don't really care if it was made by a computer, as long as
I mean, like the Oscars, right? As much power as they still have, which I don't think is much, but maybe they have separate categories, right? Like if they're gonna make, production companies have like BIPOC plus people, you have to have a certain amount of alphabet people or BIPOC plus people or women. Like if you're going to make these unnecessary designations, how about you actually help everyone and say like, no, you can't have AI in a certain percentage of your movie or at all, or it's not even up. Like it can't be up for awards. And again, a lot of people don't give a shit anymore about that stuff, right? Like the biggest moneymaker movies are never up for any of these awards. I think. And as long as that's the case, and they probably won't care, but for the rest of us who like all different types of movies and all different types of art, it is important.
Yes.
Maybe being able to make that decision, and if you have pressure, not just from like the people, which should be the most pressure, but it's not. If you get pressure, maybe from the government, I know the libertarians would be pulling their hair out when I say that, or from whatever you would call the Oscars, like the somewhat of like a civil society, right? For this industry. I don't know, in a way, libertarians, the market will decide, and they'll be like, yay, like no, yay. The
Academy one I think is a useful one, because they should be like, they should reassert themselves as championing artistry, and there's not and when you're offloading that artistry to AI, that should decrease the likelihood of you getting, Oscar of Oscar consideration. So
Yeah.
I think that's actually a fair thing for the Academy to do. They
Hey,
would win some points in my eyes, but
they really would, and it
Yeah.
would be like, hey, because I honestly do believe, like, I don't know this, but I would think that if you polled a diverse number of Americans, right, in terms of socioeconomic statuses, all these things, how many movies they watch, what they consider, I do think generally Americans would be like, no, I want my shit made by other Americans or other humans at least, right? Like I want, they don't have to be American. I want Hayao Miyazaki making this movie. I want the producers, the designers at Pixar. I want Joaquin Phoenix being Napoleon. Like I want this stuff.
Yep.
I do think it would be popular. I do think it would score points, honestly, with an Academy that needs it.
Yeah.
Like I really think they would change. I love how we just solve every issue on the show, which is great if only more people listened. But yeah, is that going to happen? Probably not, because I don't know.
We're geniuses and we're ahead of our time. So
right, but how? Yes, of course, goes without saying. But But the studios aren't a lot of the Academy like benefactors, studio heads, and those kind of people who they just need dollar signs.
Yeah, exactly.
We said we're not going to talk about Israel, Joe. Is that a bad joke? I'm joking, you bastards. Not yes.
Man, you spicy little meatball.
It was a joke. Not all of the producers and studio execs and people who make these decisions are Jewish, Joe. Why would you assume that?
Just only 98% of them. It's not all of them though. But yeah, man. I'm glad that we're ahead of the curve on this. It sucks that we will not be listened to until we're one with the indiscriminate dust, but I will make sure that when this podcast dies, that the tombstone will say, "I told you so."
Yeah. We are prophets. We're the unheard prophets. It's like, I love it. It's like, and the tale of the prophets were written on the subway walls. It's like I'm at the subway. It says like, it's like, fuck Asians. It's like, that's not. That don't think that's what the prophets would say.
Hey, baby, want some dick?
Yeah, these prophets suck.
Oh man, I bet like again, maybe there is a sort of market-driven solution here. Maybe a studio can come along. Maybe a studio like A24, who's already kind of known for being on the fringes but still producing quality work.
You said, did you see what they're doing?
What are they doing?
It literally just said the opposite. They said we're going to start doing big budget shit. You didn't see that?
No.
Oh yeah, it was like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Oh, what?
It's like, yo, we're cashing in on that name, son. It's like, we've been making artsy shit for 8 years. Now it's time to make the big bucks. I'm surprised you didn't see this. Yeah.
No, you're making shit up.
I'm not making it up. I'm sorry if I just killed your darling.
A24 executive. Yeah, we're done with this indie shit. We're going big, baby. Shit, man. No, that's not a quote. No, like so what's their deal? They're doing big budget?
Yes.
What are you talking about? Like they're doing Captain Marvel?
And I don't
Captain
know.
DC, Captain Batman.
They want to start doing more big budget things. We can save that for another. We can talk about that in another episode. See what actually happens.
They
want to cash in.
I mean, big budget isn't inherently bad. Like
no, it's not at all.
But
not at all.
But you know what I mean. Where it's like, are they going to start doing adaptations?
That I don't know. That I don't know. I mean,
if they're giving a bigger budget to Ari Aster, then yeah, I'm all for it.
I don't think that's where they're going. But maybe.
Anyway, but getting back to my original point, maybe there is a market-driven studio where it's like we specialize in stuff that like actual artistry. We do not allow AI's digital hand in our filmmaking process at all.
Well, I hope so.
No.
We'll see. I mean, like I said, we're going to be talking about this for a while, probably forever. Yeah. Even after you die, we're going to be talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
AI.
haunting you. After we die, we're gonna be talking about this. We'll be haunting you. We'll be like, God damn it, dude, go away. Did you know that 28% of the latest Pixar movie used AI? I don't care.
I like how this part struck me, and this is towards the end of the article. Of course, at this point, AI has arrived, and that won't be reversed. Companies and individuals now talk about the use of ethical AI, but asked if panelists believe that this is an achievable goal, they quickly replied, "No." Honestly, I think all technology is going to be used for bad at some point by someone. So I think the framework is what needs to be set into place, and laws and certain things.
I love the spin. I love just the market. Like I love marketing brain. It's like giving weapons to Ukraine. No, giving lethal aid to Ukraine. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Consultant brain.
No.
Yeah. We have a Patreon.
Oh yeah.
We have a
Speaking of
Patreon.
AI.
You can support us there. You can support us by liking and subscribing and leaving comments and sharing with your friends and your grandmas who love us. And we love them too. You can join our Patreon. You can get my newest book, which is a sequel. So if you haven't gotten the first book, you should probably get that first, or both at the same time, but you kind of need the first book to get the new book. You can get all of those books on my website, but if you sign up for a Patreon at any tier, you can get one of my books, depending on the tier. You can get paperback or ebook. You also get our merch. We have sweatshirts, t-shirts, stickers. I think we have a mug. I don't know. I have to check. But that's a way to support us and show us that you love us, because we love you.
And be sure to check us out on Medium as the Reckless Muse. We've got some great short stories, and then we also have some short stories from Ben.
Yes. You dick. I didn't catch that at first.
But yeah, no, we've got some terrific writers, including Ben. Short stories and
I have a new one actually. I'm going to publish soon.
Oh, good. So check us out.
Rejected.
Yeah, submissions are closed. Yeah, submissions are open. So check us out, and if you are a writer, if you have short stories or poems or reviews or
anything
commentary
about Israel-Palestine,
yeah, exactly. Come check us out, and before we go to the age of the Carnosaurs. And so
I think we need to do a Carnosaur episode.
We should. There's 3 movies, I think, in that series. It could be, maybe we could do like a bad movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's 3 movies. Okay, I'm not committing to 3. I'll commit to the first one.
You already did. Sorry. And there are 2 spinoffs too. There's Raptor, which came out in 2001, and then the Eden Formula. I like the sound of that.
All right.
But dude, like when you see the animatronics that they use, like compared to Jurassic Park, and it came out the same year too as Jurassic Park '93, and it's like a lot of it's just like hand puppets, and or animatronics that are just like this, or like a dude in a dinosaur suit. But I just remember like all of the scenes of like a dinosaur or a carnosaur rather ripping off a human limb. It's obviously just like a puppeteer, just kind of like with very limited motion, and then a person screaming as a fake arm is ripped off of their fake torso, and it's the funniest shit ever, man.
I'll watch it. I'll add it to my list.
Did you ever see Ed Wood, the Tim Burton one with
No, it's been on my list forever. It's just it's never free.
I recommend it if you can get a chance to see it. But there's a scene in the movie where they're
it's like sci-fi, right? Like really low budget.
Yeah, they're making a really shitty low budget movie, and so there's a scene. I don't remember what the actual movie was that they were shooting, but it involves Bela Lugosi's character fighting an octopus. So they had a giant mechanical octopus, but they forgot the motor, and so so they showed the behind the scenes of in the movie where Ed Wood is telling Bela Lugosi, he goes, "Okay, we forgot the motor. So just wrap the tentacles around you and just pretend that it's trying to kill you." And it's just Bela Lugosi just flailing around in the pond. It's obvious that he's home. But when you watch the original Ed Wood, the original one from the 50s, that's exactly what it pretty much looks like. It's just an old guy flailing around with rubber.
Yeah, dude, it's like that. I feel like it always pops up as like a GIF. I think it's a Star Trek scene where it's like some guy in some like alien dinosaur
like
type
reptilian.
suit. Yeah, reptilian suit. And it's like kapow, whack, and it's like so slow and crappy and like overextended.
Oh man, I love that stuff. All right, everybody. Well, stay
right,
reckless,
stay reckless.
Before AI eats you like a
Stay
connoisseur.
reckless as long as you can, and then do whatever AI says.
Yes.